Sorry, you're going to be
Oh,
what?
you tried really hard to record that. Yes, I have a little kink in my neck and it's bothering the hell out of me. And I can't look to the right without life sucking.
Do you need to look to the right? What's over there?
There's a window with sunlight that makes me
Just move
not
your
depressed.
entire body to the right.
I do have a swivel chair. It's not the same. You know what it's like,
I know,
right? When you got
sucks.
the little kink in your neck and you think you can just bend it a certain way to fix it, and then you just can't.
Yes, I think everyone can relate.
In fact, you keep making it worse. I'm making it worse constantly.
Welcome back to Adulthood, friends. This is the discussion-based podcast where two former childhood acquaintances, now friends, discuss the things that, adverb, Josh?
Incessantly
matter.
Incessantly is our adverb of the week. Okay, incessantly matter. It doesn't make much sense, but who cares? Because it's not supposed to.
Speaking of pains in the necks, I'm Aya.
I'm Josh.
And this is episode 17.
Ooh.
Our topic this week is anger. So do you often feel anger, Josh? And how do you deal with it? What kinds of things make you angry? And where does that anger come from, do you think?
You said Josh, but I feel like this is going to be more about you, but we'll see.
I think that you are correct. Should we get into it?
Let's get into it. And we're back.
So usually, Josh, we try to follow up our more serious episodes like trauma with something light and fluffy, like inspiration or social media or clouds. But today we thought we might talk about anger.
I mean, that could be light and fluffy depending on the context.
Right? Do you feel that your anger is light and fluffy?
I don't think I'm a very angry person. I don't think I get angry that often. But I like how you just assumed my anger as if other people are as angry as you.
Yeah. I think you were kind of the guest last week and the week before, and it seems like...
let's throw this on you this episode.
I'm okay with that.
Would you say that you are sometimes a bit of an angry person?
Well, Josh, I would say that as you've put it in the past, I feel like you're kind of leading the witness there. But but yeah, I think that I have a temper.
You have a temper.
I don't always kind of let it out, but I do feel that my emotions are often kind of bubbling at the surface. And sometimes they bubble over into what may seem like anger.
Do you feel like you're always at like your baseline is pretty close to bubbling over, or like closer than others?
Not as much lately. I thought I kind of had a handle on it, you know, with like medication, medication, yoga, exercise, all that stuff.
M?
I was really looking for another M.
Movies?
Movies.
No. Medication, meditation, and
mastication.
Movies.
Lots of eating, right?
Oh, there's another M in there, though, but we're not going to.
I did not say that.
Go there.
Yeah, that could help too. But so, yeah, so I felt like I had some control over it, or like it wasn't bubbling, and it was kind of nice, like what I was describing in our mental health episode with, you know, feeling like I'm normally a live wire, and that suddenly there was sort of a casing or whatever you call that, like insulation on a wire.
Yeah.
And actually something happened last week, and I kind of felt myself sort of, I don't want to say I lost it, but
you lost it.
I think I lost it a little bit. Yeah.
What happened? If you want to share.
Yeah, well, I guess I have to divulge something eventually, probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk to us. Today I will be your therapist. So.
Can I call in? I feel like I'd be a lot more comfortable if I were calling in too.
You can call in?
Well, you have some masters in something.
I am not, no, my master's in film production, but I do have you're a doctor of, what is it? You're a doctor of philosophy, a PhD in Hispanic studies.
Yeah, that's right.
And we use that to say that you'd be my doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Last time. But I might not be a doctor in anything, but I actually have a degree in like psychology stuff, like
Amazing.
Neuroscience. And so you know what? That's got to be.
So you're actually more.
Am I more of one than you?
You're actually probably more qualified to be the call-in doctor.
I don't know. That was my argument, but now when you say it, I don't want to. That's not.
I see. I'm sorry. Would you like to say the argument?
No, it's cool. It's fine.
All right.
It's whatever.
Okay.
No. You can call me. Just call me Josh.
Okay. All right.
as opposed to,
You don't want to be, what would it even be?
my dad is actually Dr. Littman.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a psychologist. He deals with criminals though. I'm not that kind. He assesses like psychopaths and
Right.
horrible serial killers and things like that.
Hmm.
So I feel like that's not the kind of person I will be today.
Oh, you're telling me you won't tell me if I'm a serial killer?
I mean, do you not know?
I mean, I'd like an outside perspective. Maybe I don't know.
I think this is going to require another different episode to talk about that.
Oh, fine. All right.
Let's start with the anger that leads you
Okay.
to consider serial killing.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's start there. I want to hear about this story.
Prompting event.
If you'd like to share, if you feel comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's not much of a story, but to give you some background, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic right now.
No, what?
I know, right? So, okay, I have family, as many people
good.
do.
That's nice.
Oh my God. And I'm not going to say any names, but my sister-in-law apparently decided that she's
out of all the sisters-in-law that you have.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't listen to this, so.
She might. She's really, for the record, you love your sister-in-law.
Sure. Right now, love is not the emotion that I feel.
Oh, I see. You must be really angry. Who did she kill?
So, okay, well, now when I say it, it might sound not that like big of a deal, but basically she has 4 children. I understand, blah, blah, blah. That's difficult. But basically, even though it's a pandemic,
yeah,
and Ontario's more or less under lockdown, but not enough of a lockdown, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to hear this because everybody hears the news every day about it. But
well, actually, the people in America who are listening don't know what's going on in Canada necessarily.
Oh, fair enough. So yeah. Canada was okay at one point, but actually we're doing pretty badly considering that other people are getting the vaccine. In terms of vaccines, we're doing really poorly.
Yeah, you guys are a bit slower. I say you guys like because it's not me right now because I'm over here.
Exactly. But yeah, no, we're way slower. It's really frustrating. So yeah. I mean, they are coming out, and it's a slow process, but kind of like.
I should mention
You're vaccinated, right?
I've got my first dose of Moderna.
That's awesome. I'd love to get a first shot. Yeah. Of anything.
LA's opening up pretty. Actually, I think they just recently set a time to open. I think it's going to be June 15th or something like that. They want to fully get back to normal, like economically or something.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to stick to it.
Right. And I understand everyone wants to get back to normal, and there's lots of layers to this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they closed down the schools. My family they're living in the very populated part of Ontario, actually the part that's kind of had the most problems so far in the Toronto area. And the school is online right now for that reason. And my sister-in-law has decided, well, I'm going to take my kids to Florida.
Florida. And Florida's not exactly known for being... Florida's where we make all the jokes about people who are dumb.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say that. I know I have a lot of friends who live in Florida. They're not dumb. That's the, like all the news stories, like Florida man gets his pelvis caught in an alligator or something.
Right.
Like, yeah. That's usually Florida.
Right. But stereotypes aside, what I thought you were going to say was that they weren't one of the states handling the.
Oh no, that was where I was living.
That's part of it,
naturally,
right?
they're one of the states. I mean, they have a pretty, in my opinion, dumb governor. But anyway,
right.
Now I feel bad about anybody who I don't know who loves Florida. You can love like Miami Beach, but does anyone love Florida?
Well, yeah. So that's the thing. My parents, who I think have been I don't agree with them on a lot of politics, but they've been really good during the pandemic. And so they said, like, do you think that's a good idea? Like, as in, I don't think it's a good idea. Should you really be going? And, they said like, oh, well, we did the research. They say they've read everything about it, but how likely is that, right? We all try to read as much as we can. But ultimately, if you think that you've read everything about it and you're saying it that way, it's more likely that you found the things that agree with the point of view that you were looking for. And you said, oh.
Confirmation bias.
Exactly. Confirmation bias. That seems much more likely. And I understand. I think a lot of it comes from the things that everyone has been going through. Business isn't doing as well. It's difficult to deal with your kids, I guess, when they're not in school, getting all their energy out. Like, if they're having difficulties in school because the online system isn't working as well. Everyone's stressed, everyone's upset. I get that.
Yeah.
At the same time, everyone's going through this, and you don't get to just decide that you deserve to go on a trip when, one, you're endangering your own children who trust you because you're their parent, and two, you're endangering the rest of us and keeping this pandemic going even longer. Like, these people who feel entitled are the reason that we're still in a pandemic. Is that not true? People who think that they're entitled to continue doing what they think that they need to do to live. Oh, I need to keep living my life. No, you don't. Okay, we're all put on pause. As much as I say, like, I love, being alone in my apartment, which is true to a certain extent. It's not like I don't want to do things as well. You think I don't want to go travel? Of course I do. You think I didn't want to celebrate that I ended my PhD? Of course I did, but I didn't get to do any of that stuff. Everyone is dealing with something. It might be a lot worse than that. I'm sure in many cases it is. Everyone has their own thing, but no one is entitled to just disregard that and do their own selfish thing.
Whew.
Whew.
So anger. How do you feel now that you've let some of that out?
Not better. Because
Not better? Why not?
This is actually a fraction of what I was expressing when I found out all of this stuff.
Really?
And for me, expressing anger that way doesn't make me feel better, because then I feel bad that I said these things. I feel bad that I might hurt someone. I feel bad that I still feel bad and it didn't do anything.
But the problem is the problem isn't resolved to you right now. So the anger hasn't gone away.
No. And part of it is also like, they know they're not supposed to, but there's no real restriction on non-essential travel. So no one's actually going to stop them. And they're also bypassing.
I didn't realize that. Is it just,
yeah.
it's not every state probably allows that, but Florida is one of them that does,
I guess
right?
Florida is one of them. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, there are still flights. So people are like, well, if there's still flights, then why aren't I? And I mean, it includes politicians did this too. Like, it's just certain people don't think the rules apply to them. And you know how I feel about rules, but these are rules that are there to help all of us. So it doesn't really I don't think it's okay to just ignore them. And part of it is also, and so instead of flying back into Toronto, where they would have to stay at a hotel and pay extra money to be in quarantine there, which fine, they don't agree with, whatever, they're flying into Buffalo and driving over the border. And it's like, so you're specifically going out of your way to avoid doing the things that you're supposed to do. I just listen, anger is a secondary emotion. It comes from other things. My first feeling is not anger. My first feeling is, well, I mean, I fear for my nieces and nephews who I love, like they're little kids. It's not their fault.
But I'm sure your mother probably agrees that this is not a good idea.
She agrees that it is not a good idea, but she doesn't, she doesn't really know what to do. I think she feels as powerless as I do.
Right. And would you say that powerlessness is part of what triggers that feeling of powerlessness, triggers this anger, because you have no other recourse emotionally?
For sure. Yeah. And it feels like it's all this like energy to do something and you can't do anything. So in my case, it comes out just as this negative, like spewing horrible things. And
like, is there this part of you that wishes that, it's like a Hail Mary or whatever, that last ditch sort of get angry and somebody somewhere hears you and it makes a difference,
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way of putting it. Somehow it feels like the anger should make a difference. And I said I said some crazy things when I initially lost it. Like,
this is a lighter version. This is
a lighter
actually
version.
Getting less angry.
Yeah. Yeah. This is after like 4 days of the anger simmering. But yeah, I stayed up like trying to think of different ways, like, ooh, maybe I'll call the plane and say there's a bomb on it and see what happens. And maybe I was just so upset also at just the selfishness of people like that. And I just thought, like, they'll just keep doing it and they don't care. And one of two things will happen. If, I can make as big a deal about this as I want, but only really one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to come back, everything's fine, and they're gonna be like, see, you're worried about nothing, I makes a big deal for no reason. Or something's gonna happen to them, and it's not like I'm gonna be there like, see, I told you so. I'm gonna be like, I'm still upset that something happened to you. So it's a lose-lose. There's no good ending to this, and it's just okay.
Oh, so
all right.
You know what? I
your
don't know if
turn.
this is not the therapist way to do it, but can I say something to maybe relate a little bit and
Sure.
maybe see if there's
Yeah.
anything you can grab from
Yeah. Let's hear it.
from Tommy here, because when you say this, I have a somewhat similar story.
Hmm.
As you know, so my dad has been fighting cancer for a decade.
Yeah.
Right, he still has it technically, or he might have it. Like he takes, at least he takes chemo still, like low dose chemo constantly, and he lives at home. Okay, as of just recently, he lives at home with my both of my brothers. But I think one of my brothers just moved out of the house actually.
Oh,
But
okay.
I mean, within the last month.
Okay.
But so my youngest brother is a nurse, and which makes him like I've always said he's the most gainfully employed of all of us, and he's the closest thing my dad's going to get to a doctor in the
Right.
family. He's always wanted one of us to be a doctor, and I think I'm like, well, you got a nurse. It's close
You got
enough.
a nurse and a master's degree in film, right? Kind of adds
yeah.
up to a doctor. Yeah.
Kind of not at all. Anyway, so obviously I've been worried about my dad during this pandemic because he is immunocompromised. And as an immunocompromised person, that means if he were to get COVID, and at his age, he's 70 now, I would say he's exactly the highest risk.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in both age and
age and no and immune system, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I was and I'm very scared about this. So I remember saying to my brother Alex, I'm like, I know he's smart. He's a smart guy, a very smart guy, but he's a nurse and he lives at home. I said, well, maybe, you shouldn't maybe be living at home with our dad. And he immediately got defensive. He's like, what do you mean? What are you saying? I'm like, I'm just saying that, like, I know that you're smart and everything, but like, you work as a nurse at a hospital around, there's going to be a higher incidence of COVID there, and you're dealing with people with, who are ill. It's more easy for you to take that home. Maybe, given that if dad gets this, he could die. Maybe you don't want to live at home. He's like, you're saying I should move out of the house? I'm like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that's something to maybe consider, given that this is pretty serious. And he's like, well, why don't you move out of your house, Josh? That's how he responded at the time.
Aww.
And I was like, I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you. He definitely felt defensive about this.
Yeah.
And he was like, he basically told me how he took more precautions than other nurses even. He really took this seriously. Of anyone who's going to get it, it's not going to be him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I wasn't angry. I was like, okay. He actually was so confident. I actually felt a little better. I was a little still concerned, but, my brother's a nurse. He understands how this stuff works. I'm like, okay. Shortly after, he got COVID.
Oh, no.
He did. He got COVID. And I didn't even find out. I can understand why he might not want to be the one to have told me, and neither did my other brother. And my dad didn't tell me either. My other brother's girlfriend.
Oh, geez.
Told me.
Yeah.
She was like, Josh, I have to tell you this because I feel like, this happened. He's like, your brother's okay. Just to let you know, your dad's, I think he got tested and everything. They weren't sure yet. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, your dad's not being smart about this.
Oh.
He's like trying to go into my brother's room and talk to him and do stuff with him. And I'm like, oh my God. So first I reached out to my brother, and I could tell he probably was concerned I was going to say, like, I told you so.
No, of course not. In that situation, though, that's not what you're going to say, right?
Yeah. So that's not it. Immediately, all I said to him was, I think I texted him. I was just like, I'm glad you're okay. I love you. And I'm sure you're doing everything that you can to be safe. Because this is the situation now. Can't go back in time.
Yeah.
And I was just they were living together in the same house, interacting with each other when he had COVID, because obviously he would have had it
before he knew
for a bit and not known.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my dad got tested and he didn't have it, it seems. So holy shit, lucky, just lucky, right? That's, to me, that was this close to, like, he could be dead right now. So, okay, phew, right? everything's okay. Thank God. You know, and also my brother Alex, he's being smart now. I mean, to his credit, you know, he apparently like locked himself in his room and he like was ordering delivery to his door. And basically for just 2 weeks, he just didn't, you know, he understands this. He was working at the hospital. He understood how, you know, that this thing can be deadly. And he worked to stay away from what I understand. Okay, good on Alex. My dad, I keep getting reports from my brother's girlfriend that he's trying to go into his room and talk to him and hand him things and bring him stuff, that he's washing his laundry.
No.
Doing his laundry or his dishes. And I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I call up my dad. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? And he literally said to me, he's like, I have more important things to worry about.
What?
And you know, the logic of that is very skewed.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, hey, you can worry about both of the things.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, this one is very immediate. Like, this is very, if you do this, this could happen. Like, you know, take some responsibility there. And it's so obvious to me, like, just stay away.
I know.
How hard is it? Now, here's the thing. I'm thinking, like, can you leave the house? Apparently, because of what happened, the quarantine rules is, because my brother had it, everybody in the house with him had to quarantine with him.
Right.
That's the rules. My dad had to stay in the same house as my
that
brother.
Doesn't totally make sense, though. If he was tested and was negative, he should be able to quarantine elsewhere. I don't know, though.
I'm not sure when he got tested, to be honest. I might be forgetting. But also, even so, they might have still required for 2 weeks.
Right. I mean, clearly nobody's watching this if they also just let people fly to Florida. So, but yes.
Yeah, I don't know. But
basically,
but because there was someone that they knew, there was actually a public health person who came to the house to check. And he's like, look, the public health person is, I'm like, Dad, their job is not to keep you safe here. Their job is to keep everybody else safe from you.
Yeah.
Like, these people are coming to make sure that you guys are like staying here. Right. And they're going to tell you what you should do. Like literally, they said, stay away from him.
Yeah.
You know, my dad was having trouble following that very simple advice. Again, I love my dad, but this was making me go insane because also my other brother's girlfriend was pretty smart. Was pretty smart about things. She was like washing everything that was coming in. She was
nice.
Was giving me some peace of mind.
Yeah.
But other than her, like, I felt, and you know, my youngest brother, again, the nurse, he's locked himself in his room, so that's the most he can do. He can't be helping in any other way.
Yeah.
I felt like I had no control. I felt powerless.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you felt. And that powerlessness led me to anger.
Yeah. So you were angry. Wow. Okay.
It was a bit of and I thought it was a controlled anger in many ways, right? I did. And for me, it's very rare to get angry. Very, very rare. I'm not like bubbling over most of the time or anything like that. But like, I'm on my phone with my dad, and it's like, I call him and I see my brother, like I see them in the background or something, like,
yeah,
it's like they're taunting me with potential, ooh, like, what's going on? It was like a joke to him. My dad kept making light of this. My dad, he seems to make light of really serious stuff sometimes. I don't know. It's very strange. It was very upsetting to me. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah. I got to the point where I started yelling at him over the phone. When I found out what he was doing, I was screaming at him over the phone. And my dad, immediately when I start yelling at him, it's like I'm yelling at a child, and he just starts, you know, like, you know, and I feel really bad. But then again, I'm thinking, should I be feeling bad that I'm trying to save his life?
Yeah, it's definitely coming from a good place. And you don't get angry very often. I feel like it's extra terrifying when someone who doesn't get angry often gets really angry. For some reason, that can be, I guess. It can be very scary.
But I felt like I was angry with a purpose. And I'm sure that's what you feel like too, right? With your,
for sure,
your sister.
Yeah.
You're angry with a purpose. It's not, you haven't just lost it to lose it. Like,
no, of course not.
My anger would subside if he were to act better.
Yeah, my anger.
And the worst thing is, he would tell me, my dad would say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then I'd find out through other sources that he wasn't doing the thing that he said he was going to do. And I'm like, it's your life in the balance. And anyway, eventually he was okay. Everybody was okay, tested negative.
Yeah, luckily though.
And since then, like I said, my brother Alex did actually move out of the house. I don't know how
Yeah.
much this factored in, but maybe a little.
Yeah.
But he did leave. And also my brother's been posting all this information online on social media about vaccinations and the science of everything. And I really feel like he's been very proactive in trying to do good.
That's great.
I don't know if it's to make up for that or not, but
well, I mean, he didn't do anything wrong.
I don't want to disparage my brother. Like,
your brother didn't do anything wrong in that story, like other than
Alex?
living at home. Yeah, I mean,
I think the only thing I would say is that he was just a little bit overconfident.
right.
He was certain that he had this control
Right.
over something that I think we can all admit we don't have. It's a virus. Like, it could, who knows how it's,
Thank you, therapist Josh. That is very relatable to me too, because the way that they're talking about it, I understand it's their kids. They're the ones responsible for them. So they can take them wherever they want. They, of course, wouldn't do something to endanger them. I understand that they don't think they're endangering them, but they're endangering someone for no reason. Like, so I understand. I get it. Like, it sucks having a bunch of kids at home. I'm sure that sucks. Maybe don't have so many. No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't want that. My nieces and nephews are the best. But I do, can we sidebar rants for a moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sidebar rant. I love it when you sidebar rant.
Sidebar rant. People who used to tell me about how I should have kids soon. I gotta find a nice Jewish boy and have some children. Now we see how you really feel about having children, because as much as you may love your children, you apparently don't want to spend very much time with them. I understand it sucks sometimes, but that's what you get for procreating. Everyone acts like they're doing the world a big favor. Oh, look at me. I popped out some babies. You know what? The world is overpopulated. You're not doing anyone any favors. So, except for yourself.
Tell us what you really think, Aya.
Oh my God. I definitely need to edit this episode so I can edit out myself sounding like a
No, I love it. I love hearing because this is the episode on anger and we get to see some real anger.
Yeah.
That you again, do you feel like anger begets anger though? Like when you're angry about one thing, you start thinking about all the things you're angry about. Just like when you are worried about one thing, you start catastrophizing. Right?
Well, that's, you know what, part of it is not just that I'm not just angry about, like, at first I'm just angry about the situation. I'm angry about what they're doing. I'm angry that nothing I can say or do is going to change it. I'm angry about that. And then I'm angry that I'm angry. And it just keeps building on each other. Then I'm angry that I'm losing sleep over this. I'm angry that I can't think about anything else. I'm angry that I'm turning into this person who rants about stuff. I'm angry that I'm turning into a person who criticizes other people for their choices. I don't want to do
you're
that.
making me a worse person over this.
Yeah. And I know it's not them doing it to me. I know it's all me, but
I feel you on that.
But I don't want to be this person. I don't want to tell people what to do. I would love for people, it's like, can everyone just not be assholes so we don't all have to get angry at them? That's an oversimplification, obviously.
I remember saying to my dad, like, if you can just, like, if not for yourself, so I can sleep better tonight. And so I don't keep yelling when I don't like doing that. Can you please take better care of yourself and treat and care about you like I care about you? You know?
Oh, that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, no, I wish I had your like calm or your ability to, like
I said, my dad is a different person. Everything's different.
I know. And so, I mean, maybe a better person if I focus more on my brother, like I would never yell at my brother. He's a lovely person. I don't know if you've met my oldest brother. I mean, both of my brothers are awesome. Have at
some point. Yeah, I bet Eitan, right?
Yeah, so both of them are, it's not like one is...
Eitan and Elon.
Elon I can talk to very easily. Eitan is like, he's like the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's just like very sweet, kind of, he can be soft-spoken. He has his opinions, but like, he's very diplomatic and like compassionate when he talks to people. Like, I don't think it's possible to be angry at him. And he's a person who doesn't get angry. So like, if he ever does, it's he's one of those people where if he gets angry, it's scary because it's like, oh my God, like he got angry. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't usually lose control of his emotions. And I know that he wouldn't do anything on purpose, but I don't know. And I shouldn't just blame my sister-in-law, but I can't blame my brother without having the the cognitive dissonance of blaming like someone that I love so much, or my nieces and nephews who are children and shouldn't be blamed anyways.
But
So
you're saying it's all tied together. And it's sometimes though, the people we
yeah.
love, we get angry for them, you know?
Well, yeah.
We get angry at them and then we get angry for them, right?
Well,
And I'm
yeah.
sure you're angry right now, your sister-in-law for her and her family, like, right?
Yeah.
Yes, also, but again, let's break it down, right? You have so many different pieces here, like,
I know.
that you're angry about, right? You're angry
I'm
about
angry about
that.
so many different things.
You're angry about their potential to hurt other people, potential to hurt themselves. The fact that you have to yourself, you put so much effort into not doing the things you love to do to protect other people, and she's just like, whatever, right? That's how it feels. Yeah. And so that's another one of those things. So you have a societal issue, you know, relating to society there.
Yeah.
I can see you have a lot of different levels of and angles of your anger here, right?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And it could all, in your mind, it could all just go away if she doesn't take the kids to Florida.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's a really good way of putting it. And I didn't even mention, so my brother is also immunocompromised.
That's important, yeah.
It's like, and I mean, he's not going, but
no, but they could bring it back.
Point. Yeah, exactly. And even, okay, they're getting tested before they leave, but they're also going to be on a plane with people, and then they're also going to be traveling, and they're also like, it's just, and if they're kids and they're going to be in Florida where mask protocol is not the same as it is here, and even the way it is here, people still don't follow it half the time, but like, if they see other people not using masks the same way, they're going to be like, oh, okay, so we don't have to the same way that we've been told we have to, or, you know, like, and I don't know. Okay. I know I shouldn't go back onto the details.
No, I get it. And it's easy to loop on it because the problem isn't solved, right?
I am looping.
The problem's not solved. How do you not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because to you, there's a clear line of logic.
Yep.
Like, no matter which way you look at it, the positives that you think she sees are easily outweighed by the negatives.
Yes.
That should be more highly prioritized, like the rest of us are supposedly prioritizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't fathom how somebody doesn't see that, right? And again, when I get very frustrated too, like, I guess I would say frustrated rather than outright angry, but I get very frustrated when I see people not understand how statistics work, or the fact that they use their anecdotal stories. I know a guy, he turned out fine, so I should be fine. You know, my friend went to Florida and he came back and he didn't have it. So
oh my God,
you're like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, good for the lucky that, look, what if somebody used my dad's story now and they were like,
oh God,
look, your dad was fine. He didn't end up getting it. Luckily, it was pure luck. But that was a perfect situation for him to get it. Yeah. It was just lucky that it didn't happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I should mention my brother and my brother's girlfriend both got it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So the two of them got it.
Sucks.
You know, and I was angry. Like I said, like, I was so angry on the phone that people in my house heard me yelling in my mansion. I live in this old Victorian mansion, I said. They heard me screaming on the phone at my dad. But the difference here is I'm yelling at my dad to help himself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm worried out of worry for him, right? Yeah. You have a worry about your brother and his kids as well.
Yeah.
It's a different situation, so I don't want to compare.
I mean, I worry about my sister-in-law too. I'm joking a little bit.
Of course.
I'm joking. I love her. I should have said that way at the beginning when you asked me if I loved her. Of course, I love my sister-in-law. I've known her since I was 9. She is basically the closest thing I have to a sister. But
you know what? Clearly, the people that we are closest with, though, often we get the angriest at. Let's be honest. I can't really get that angry at someone I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. There are people I know who do. I can't do that. Like, I'm thinking of all the times I've gotten angry in my life, like the most angry I've been. And it's only a few times that I've been that angry. They've always been at people who are very close to me.
Who else have you ever gotten angry at, Josh?
You want to hear this?
Because I can't imagine who you would get angry at. Like, it's not that you don't have you have tons of reasons to be angry at people. That's not what I'm saying. I know that, like, the way that you react. Okay, that also came out wrong. I'm not saying that you haven't had good situations in which to react angrily. I'm just saying that you tend to brush things off at least outwardly, right?
No, I do try to. I think we're similar in this way, though. I like to be in control.
Mm.
And I like to feel that I'm in control of my emotions. I think when people, and let's be honest, when some people, when they're not in control of their emotions, they do horrible things.
Yeah.
A lot of really bad things, crimes of passion, you know,
Mm.
when people are just angry and they can't control them, it means they can't foresee the consequences of their actions.
Yeah.
You could feel something. I felt these emotions. Let's be honest, there's a difference between like outwardly acting angry
Right.
and
Uh-huh.
feeling
Yeah.
angry inside.
Right.
I have felt angry, but not acted, like lost it.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think we're talking more about like losing it, right?
Well, I mean, I would like to say that I don't even like the feeling of anger. Acting on it is the worst, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, neither. I try to control. It's like jealousy. I try to avoid even the feeling of it.
Yeah, exactly. But there is definitely a big difference between feeling it and acting on it.
Yes. I can tell you, like, I guess it has to be a very extreme, something very extreme where I feel like I'm not in control and somebody's taken away this control that has made me very angry, right? So, for example, one of my ex-girlfriends, who, by the way, is a friend of mine still today, is a great person. This is just like a one-time thing, right?
Mhm.
But we were driving in the car and I was driving and she was in the passenger seat and we were on the freeway. And I don't know, we were arguing about something, like barely an argument. It was like a bickering. Like
Mhm.
maybe I was arguing, it wasn't even about us. I think I was arguing like the reasoning of something that happened to one of her friends or something. Like it didn't matter that much.
Mm.
But it got, I don't know if it got heated or she felt it just got really heated, but she got so worked up about it, she hit me in the head.
Oh my God.
Yeah, while
You were driving.
I was driving
Jesus.
us on the freeway.
Oh my God.
At 60, 70 miles an hour or whatever it is. And I literally, because of where she hit me too, I kind of like, what do you call it? Like I buzzed in and out for a second. Like
oh my God. Like she really hit you.
Like I just kind of had like a.
How are you still friends with this person?
No.
Sorry, Shirley.
It's not Shirley.
It's not Shirley. Oh.
No, it's not.
Okay, sorry, Shirley. Now I'm really sorry, Shirley. But I assumed it was you.
Yeah, it's not her. She never hit. I don't remember her really hitting.
Yeah,
me.
She didn't sound like the hitting type. Okay.
But neither is this other person.
You never know.
You never know. But anyway, it hit me in the head. What do you call that? I'm trying to think of the term, but like
you blacked out for a second?
No, because it was so quick. It was just kind of like my vision kind of went.
Oh, you got like spots in your eyes, kind of.
Something like it kind of went like it was just like I got dazed. It was a slight daze.
Yeah. Jeez.
And
that's so scary.
I was fine. We were fine. I might have swerved a little. I don't know. But oh my God, I lost it.
Yeah.
I did. I lost it. I yelled back so much. I lost my voice. That's how much.
Wow.
You probably can't even imagine that.
I'm trying right now. Yeah, you saw my eyes go up. Like I'm trying to picture that.
I did. And here's the thing. She immediately, like after that,
yeah,
she realized that she was in the wrong.
Yeah.
I said to her, I said, if this ever happens again, we're done immediately. We're over.
Yeah.
This relationship is over. I was like, this is our lives. You just threatened with an impulsive action.
Yeah.
And, I don't think I didn't lose it. Like it's not like I went and beat her or something. Like I didn't lose it like that.
Yeah.
But I went a little crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I lost it. I guess when I thought my life was in danger due to something so stupid.
Of course. Yeah.
That made me kind of lose it.
I mean, that totally makes sense.
I think it has to do with that feeling of not having control. And it's even worse when it's from the people who are closest to us.
Right.
Right. Like I said, like my dad, in the past, I think if ever I got that kind of angry, the ones I can remember are just for example, my brother, my other brother, actually, I remember a long time ago, he locked his door, but he kept a hard drive with all these movies in it. Mm-hmm. We had these like movies on a hard drive or something, and I wanted to watch them with a friend. And I'm like, oh, 1 second, I'm just going to get the hard drive from my brother's room.
Of course, your other angry thing is related to movies. I want to watch Stargate. Why don't you let me watch
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was that it was right there. And I knocked on my brother's door, and he was upset that like I woke him up. And I was like, I apologize. I just wanted to grab something from your room. And he got upset at me for waking him up. So he said no. And he wouldn't let me get the hard drive. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm sorry about that. Can I just grab the hard drive? This is what we were planning to do tonight. and he just didn't respond to me. So then I banged on the door and he didn't respond to me. And I banged a little louder and he didn't respond to me. Cut ahead 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'm banging on that door.
You couldn't open. Oh, he locked the door and like.
He locked the door. I'm banging on it like as loud as I can.
You can't like, this isn't the one with like the hole that
No,
you
I
can
couldn't.
screwdriver out? Okay.
No, I couldn't get in.
Crawl through the window. Okay, sorry. I'll stop.
I mean, I was worried I was going to actually literally my other brother, my dad, they got up. They were like, what do you like? It's really late. I'm like, it's not my fault. It's his fault. If he just let me get that hard drive, that you wouldn't have to be waking up right now late at night. And I totally lost it because at any given moment, I thought that he would have opened the door.
Yeah.
And it would have stopped, but it just kept escalating and he stubbornly wouldn't open it. Like, in my mind, I'm like, really? If it was all about him sleeping, then wouldn't he open the door? Because clearly I'm keeping him up by banging on the door for half an hour.
Yeah.
So it was like a battle of wills with me and my brother. But that's my brother. Like, I would never be that way with someone else.
Right.
It's the people closest to you usually, you know?
Yeah. I guess I don't often also, like I should say, I don't often express the anger to the person. Like I'll usually keep it in and then just start ranting. Often my mother's good at listening to me rant about something, I guess, which kind of sucks for her, but she's very understanding.
Does it ever come out in other ways?
What, like what?
Well, sometimes our anger doesn't come out directly as anger or even about the thing that, like, for example, do you ever take it out on other people?
Well,
in a relationship, to a friend, to a parent?
I guess probably me ranting like this because I haven't.
I'm not just talking about ranting, by the way, because ranting is very like you're telling them the thing that's bothering you.
Yeah.
But maybe you're treating someone not as nicely because you're upset.
I don't think I've ever gotten angry at someone within like a romantic relationship. If I'm upset, I'll go like hide and think about things. I'll like at most I'll like hide in a closet and cry, you know.
Oh.
That wasn't meant to sound so sad. Like I'll be angry and I'll be like, I can't let this anger boil over. And it's like I don't for some reason hearing people argue in relationships really like I can't handle it. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like people showing anger to their spouse or like partner bothers me in a way that like
no, I get that.
I can't do it. So I think there are a lot of very high-strung people in my family. You know, it's kind of a joke among Israelis are always kind of yelling just at it. And my parents will talk to each other in quotation, but to me, sometimes it feels like yelling. And they say they're just talking. And I'm like, can you guys stop yelling? And they're like, we're not yelling. And I'm like, oh my God, stop yelling. And then I'll just yell at them to stop yelling.
It sounds like that joke about like, I've seen it in a few different places where somebody's just like talking German to their family or something. And it's like, oh my God, what happened? He's like, I just said hello.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's like that. They're like, no, we're not yelling. And I'm like, it feels like yelling. It sounds like yelling. I don't know how to, like, how else am I, this is just how we talk. Oh my God. Fine.
You know, speaking of Shirley, because you brought her up when we were dating, I do remember her. I don't know if this is necessarily yelling or anything like that, but she was telling somebody else like, yeah, Josh and I have been fighting a lot. And I was like, we have been?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, remember, she's like, we were fighting about this thing. And I was like, we were having a debate. It wasn't. Oh,
that's different.
We weren't I was like, we weren't fighting. And she's like, I mean, yeah. She's like, yeah.
Yeah, debates? Like an intellectual debate?
We were having like I thought this thing and maybe she thought that thing and we discussed it.
Oh, that's fun. That's different.
That's how I saw it.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, same thing. I'm like,
no.
You think all of that is fighting?
Super different.
She was like, she's like, yeah, we were fighting. What? That's fighting. I'm like, you're telling other people we're fighting when we're just talking about stuff and we might not agree?
I like not agreeing with like people and kind of having a discussion. I'm like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I like having a real discussion and figuring things out. And to me, that's fun. I'm like, I was having a good time and you thought we were fighting?
Yeah, that's so messed up.
But there's a nuance to this thing where some people think something we should point out, like what appears to be anger may not be anger.
Right.
But it could feel like anger, and everybody can react to the same situation very differently, you know?
So yeah, in the case of my parents, maybe it's kind of the opposite of that. They don't think that they're yelling. That's how they communicate. And if you've heard Israelis talk, it's very spirited.
Yeah.
And then
I know what you mean.
And then, you know, but to an outsider, and I think I'm highly sensitive, which it may not seem like all the time, but So it kind of affects me. I don't like the yelling, but apparently I got to do the opposite and scare my mom with my yelling about my sister-in-law. So
How'd that feel?
not great, not good. I was
Not
not
good,
happy.
right?
I actually felt really bad afterwards.
You know, there is something, let's be honest, there's something freeing about anger, right? Like when you just say
Yes.
fuck it and you say whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I used to actually envy that a little bit. Like I'd see it on TV shows where somebody just said the worst thing they could to that person.
Yeah.
And then they just apologized and were over it the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I wish I could allow myself to get to that point. Actually, no, there was a point once that I don't know if I told you this story once before.
I don't know.
I think I talked about this friend of mine. We were friends, and he kind of betrayed me more than once. So you remember in that Losing Friends episode,
Mm-hmm.
he basically, again, control. He took away my control over something we
Yeah.
had created together, and I felt powerless. And he gave me a bullshit reason. I thought I solved that bullshit reason, so he had nothing to. He couldn't use that reason anymore. I gave him a way to solve the problem that he said it was. And he didn't care. He just said, let it go. And I wanted, I mean, this was something I created. I wanted to have that control,
of course,
as well. And he took it away, and I said, fuck you.
Yeah.
I did. I said, fuck you to him. But immediately, again, that's that.
And then felt terrible about it.
I felt so terrible that in the next breath, I said, never mind. Forget I said that. I was like, I said, I tried it out. I tried out, fuck you. I tried out that thing, you know, where people do that, and it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So never mind that. But obviously I'm very frustrated. And in the end, we seem to agree that he seemed to forgive me for saying, fuck you. But I never got the control of my work that I had desired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had that. Obviously, we have that envy. We look up to those, not look up to, but I kind of get jealous of those people that are able to just kind of lose it totally.
I'm scared of those people. I don't envy
I'm scared of them too.
I'm
scared of them. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not using the right word, but it definitely seems somewhat freeing. And maybe that's what I like about the art sometimes, and acting, for example, where I can just, if I'm on stage and I lose it, you get that feeling.
Yeah, and I would say that's a healthy expression. There are ways to healthily express your anger, and I 100% relate to what you're saying with so like, I know I think I portrayed myself a little bit as someone who can express it. I hate expressing it. I feel very upset afterwards, and like half of the upset later, like the anger is, anger at my own anger. I don't like feeling like that.
Anger at your reaction. Yeah.
I don't like being like that. And I should also say, I don't think I really react angrily to people very often.
No.
If I do, it'll be in like a cutting comment or a
little sharp, snide comment.
Exactly. It'll be a snide comment, maybe a little passive aggressive for a moment.
But you like that being part of who you are. You don't like that anger being part of who you are, because we're defined by how we act, and you're like, damn it.
I don't like the passive aggressive stuff either.
No.
I mean, there was something I did. I can even think of an example of something I said to you that I automatically felt bad about. And like, just in our professional interactions, and then I was like, oh my god, I feel terrible, and you were like, oh no, it's fine. I was like, no, I feel terrible.
What was it?
Oh, you said there was something that I was anxious about, and you said, oh, it's going to be a real thorn going ahead in the podcast, isn't it? Like,
oh.
And I said, oh well, if it's such a thorn, maybe you can find someone else to podcast with.
Fuck you, Aya.
I'm just kidding. Well, that was the other thing I was going to tell you is, you know what, Josh? Let's do a little exercise. How about you how about you express some anger healthily? We're in a safe space right now.
Well, what is a healthy way of expressing anger?
Right. I mean, some people just have really angry sex. No, I'm just kidding. Let's take that out.
No, that is
a good outlet.
That is a great outlet. I mean, in a healthy way.
In a consensual relationship.
In a consensual way.
Exercise, I think, is a big one.
Exercise?
Yeah.
So do you take out like punching a punching bag or something?
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be that violent, but yes.
When you were younger, did you ever punch a pillow? Like I remember getting really mad once when my mom falsely punished me. She'd do this often. She punished something that I didn't even do, and she kept me from going to Simchat Torah.
Oh.
Like Simchat Torah, celebrations. I used to, that was my favorite Jewish holiday, and we'd go with my family.
Sorry that I laughing.
What?
That's so cute. That's what upset you. I'd be like, yes, thank you. I don't have to go to Simchat Torah.
No, we'd go every year, and there would be like this chocolate that I was really, this mint chocolate that I was really excited to eat.
Oh.
And I had to watch my dad and my brothers go without me.
Oh.
And my mom made me stay at home. And it was a whole year. Again, I missed out on it this year. And I was so angry. And I could never like express that anger to my mother because she could beat me down. So like, I remember screaming into a pillow, punching the pillow, just like, right in the pillow, right? That kind of classic, teen angst.
Were you a teenager at this point? I'm sorry that I laughed at your love for Simchat Torah.
No. It was a long time ago. I don't remember exactly how old I was, to be honest. Close to it, maybe. If not, I don't know. And then, of course, I remember my brothers and my dad coming home. My dad got me some of the chocolate. He gave it to me.
That's so cute.
To make me. He knew.
That's so nice.
That was like. Anyway, yeah, we talked a lot about my mom and stuff the other episode. But I would get angry, but I could never express. I never yelled at her. I couldn't.
Well, you weren't allowed.
Literally, I got punished just for talking back.
Yeah.
Just for disagreeing. So, oh my God, if I were to scream at her or yell at her, I can't imagine what kind of punishment I would have gotten. So I had to learn to, work on that internally.
Yeah.
As kids, we are powerless. We don't now.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, right? If you ruin a relationship or something, if a friend cuts you off, you're like, okay, I'm fine. I can still go do whatever, right? So you feel a little bit like you don't need that, but you need your parents to survive, and they have total control over your life. So you can't react. We were kids, so we're also learning our emotions and all that. Like, I should ask you this. Were you angry a lot as a kid?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, there is the difference between acting on the anger and being angry. So like you're saying with your mom, and I never felt that I could act out on my anger the same way that I know some kids, like, so I never acted out. I think I was I was a well-behaved child, but I do know that I felt anger a lot, or a sense of things being unfair, or
things being unfair is a big one, right?
Yeah, of course. And like that bubbling over.
Even now with your sister-in-law, I think things being unfair is a part of your anger, right?
100% it is.
Injustice, unfairness, that makes me, I think we probably can relate on this.
Right. And I mean, the potential positive of feeling that is that it can be a helpful anger. One, it is defensive. So when you're a kid, maybe you can't do anything about it. Maybe it's a misplaced sense of unfairness, right? Because overall, what they're doing might be good for you. Maybe not. Doesn't sound like it in the case of your Simchat Torah thing. But if it's an anger at being mistreated in a situation where you should be standing up for yourself, then it can be a helpful anger. It's making you realize that this is not the way things should be. So it's sometimes anger tells you that the way things are is not the way that things should be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are times we should get angry, right?
For sure. Yeah.
You should get angry when there's an injustice going on in the world, right? Mm-hmm. If an entire group of people is being treated unfairly, or is being scapegoated for problems that, all of this immigrants are responsible for all this crime. No, it's not true. It's a scapegoating. That's an injustice. Yeah. And that makes people angry. And, there's a lot of different people that get angry on different levels. I have a housemate. She's a real activist. I hesitate to call myself that because I feel like more of an armchair activist. Like, she really goes out there, she'll protest. It's not just something she does. She feels angry on behalf of, people on very large issues in the world, right?
We need that. That's great. Like, we need people
like that. In fact, sometimes we need to sometimes get ourselves to that point. It's very hard. Takes a lot of empathy.
I mean,
could you get?
Yeah, I'm angry on behalf of people.
Well, I'm saying for some people it is, right? If it was easy to get to that point, more people would do it, right?
Right. Yeah, sorry, I was very dismissive there. Of course, it's easy to feel angry for other people. I mean, as soon as you actually see what people are living through, or like, I don't know, I was listening. So of course I was already upset about, this thing going on that I already feel is an injustice. And then I was listening to a podcast that was talking about the way things still are in Syria and the way that their lives are. And they talk to like these people. And I was just like, oh my God, the shit people go through, and like our sense of what is okay to deal with and what isn't. Like, I think it's very easy to feel tired and hopeless about the way things are going in the world and to detach yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the times where anger is kind of important, because it's a lot worse to be apathetic. It's a lot worse to be dismissive, or to say, oh, well, that's happening over there, so it doesn't really matter. Or those people aren't like us.
No, you just have to know how to channel your anger.
Right. So there's a difference between just being angry about it and actually channeling it into something useful.
Be angry with a purpose, right? Like if you're angry with a purpose, like I'm sure you felt you were being angry with a purpose in your situation. But when you're angry with, like, you have to learn then how to take that feeling of anger and turn it into something productive. And first of all, I would like to say that, like, you bring up a good point, stuff going on in Syria, stuff going on in other parts of the world is so much to be angry about, right? And a lot of that starts with, what do we like to say? Empathy.
Oh, right. Cue the empathy.
Cue the empathy, right? The empathy podcast. You put yourself in somebody else's shoes at the other end of the world and you go, oh my God, look what they're having to deal with.
Yeah.
Now, the problem, we see a lot of people who don't seem to be doing that. But sometimes it's these people that aren't empathetic, sure. But other times I think some people are so empathetic that if they do, it's like there's so much pain out there, so much to be angry about.
Right.
That you're going to be angry all the time if you're constantly tapped into that, right? So it's easier to detach for some people, right? It's true. Because if they do get into that, they're going to really get into that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. And I mean, I think even on an individual scale, like if I hear too much about that stuff, I'm like, I need a little break from that. Or like, it's like the way I can't read Holocaust stuff. I mean, we learned enough about it, but I can't.
It makes you
it works me up. It just upsets me too much. And it's like, I don't want to feel this anymore. Like,
do you feel like sometimes you want to have control in when you're angry about something, you're powerless in another part of your life, you might try to take control in a different part of your life.
Yeah, probably.
Somewhere else, right? Yeah. You might try to, if you're, let's say, angry at home, you might try to take control at school.
Yeah. And I mean, we had guests who spoke about that as well, like being angry at home and then.
Yeah. I think Michael Lander came on to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying, so you as a kid, how did that anger come out? It doesn't always just come out with you yelling and screaming, right? It can come out in different ways.
Yeah, I think it came out in, some of as one of our favorite teachers used to put it, I could dish it out, even though I sure couldn't take it. But I guess like making comments to people or just like biting sarcasm and things like that have always been kind of a go-to outlet for me.
And as you've gotten older, has that changed how that outlet at all? Have you gotten, let's say, healthier outlets?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think one of the big changes for me also was, I think I talked about this a little bit in the mental health episode, but I got a bit into CBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, but it was also like a group thing on emotion regulation. That's what it was called, emotion regulation. And it was extremely helpful in recognizing emotions. Meditation helped a lot too. I took a few different groups on meditation, and that was very helpful in being able to recognize an emotion without feeling that you need to act on it. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to feel the anger, and you don't have to, if you try to reject it or push it away or explain it or intellectualize it, you're just making it keep going and keep going. So like your best bet is to notice it, see how it feels. So like for me, anger is often, it almost feels like something's bubbling up in my chest. Like I just feel like
it's very physical. People don't realize sometimes depression, anger, they create very physiological responses in us.
Yeah.
Like your head will hurt, your stomach will hurt, your chest.
For sure.
Your breathing, it's physical. When you feel uncomfortable, it's not just in your head. You're feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a little bit counterintuitive, but the best way, at least for me, that I found and that is recommended is generally to focus on it and let it be there and just say, okay, how does this feel? So I'll say like, okay, feels like a burning in my chest, like a bubbling over, like there's a like a pot boiling over and spilling out into the horrible words that I say. But it really does feel like that. And if you sit with it and kind of let it be there and recognize it, it does kind of subside. It's weird that way, because often what we do,
it's that insight a little bit.
Yeah.
With Freud, like it was all about insight. If you just get insight, it doesn't. The whole thing was he thought it helped, but really insight isn't usually enough just to know there's a problem. But I guess when it comes to things like anger and these emotions, it does really help to just to recognize it for what it is and define it correctly.
Yeah. So like saying, okay, I'm angry and I'm angry for a good reason, and I can just let it be without feeling like there's something else I need to do, or easier said than done. It's still really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, recognizing it, being able to describe it, writing about it, that's a good outlet. Journaling.
Writing about, hey, you write.
Oh, and you said like plays. Acting in the play, but also just writing the play.
Yeah.
Writing is a great outlet for it. Driving is fun.
I don't know sometimes, because driving, I don't know. When you drive while angry, pretty sure there's a movie called Drive Angry, actually. I feel like angry drivers can be dangerous.
Well, I'm not angry about driving. I'm angry. And then if I have good music on, I can kind of sing my way out of my anger.
It helps dissipate your anger.
Yeah, exactly. Or, going for a walk, going out in nature, all the usual cliche stuff.
Oh, it's cliche because
it's cliche for a reason.
It helps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're actually reading a good book that takes me out of myself really helps. Sometimes watching TV helps, sometimes doesn't, but like good comedy is usually my go-to. I almost always am watching comedy or something comedic.
Do you feel like it helps to be able to, because as you're talking, a lot of this is, again, taking back that control. It feels like that's that feeling. When you have lost control, you need to take it back somehow. And it calms us to be able to feel like we have control again. Like being able to express yourself, for example, is a form of control.
Yeah, maybe.
Like you're able to, or at least if you can't get rid of your anger, then you can channel it, right? Channel it into your writing, into your art.
Yeah.
Whether you're painting something, or, for me, talking about it with somebody else.
Talking helps too. Yeah.
Right? Like I use the word diffuse, like diffuse your pain. You can diffuse your anger. Like if you share your anger with me or all the people you're sharing it with.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Look how many people you're diffusing. You know how many people are going to be angry along with you?
Diffuse or diffuse?
You like to say diffuse and not diffuse. I say it both ways. Diffuse.
Diffuse.
All right, we'll use diffuse for you. I don't want to make you angrier than you already are. And when you diffuse that anger amongst all these people, then, it's not just you anymore. And you're able to, you don't have to have it all bottled up inside you. Now it's shared amongst others. So it can be very helpful to share.
That's true. Actually, I did feel better when I shared like my anger with someone. I felt a bit better afterwards. Like they agreed with me, and then I was like, oh, okay. And I felt a bit better for a bit, but it kind of keeps coming back sometimes.
It comes back, right? It's never just, sometimes something goes away and then you get triggered again.
Yeah, it does.
Just like trauma can be triggered, I think anger can be triggered again as well. There's like anger triggers. Like, especially if it's something that isn't resolved and you kind of weren't thinking about it for a bit and then it comes back.
Right. Well, what you're saying about control makes a lot of sense. And I think the best way that I can think of is to turn inward, because you don't have control over anyone but yourself, really. And even over yourself, how much control do you have?
But that's different than saying getting angry at yourself. Some people do that. I don't think that's good either, right?
No, I don't. That's counterproductive.
Yeah. Like I remember my dad was one of those people, I think he was very angry after my mom passed, and he got angry at himself. He blamed himself and all this stuff. Maybe I'm just thinking about this because we just talked about it the last episodes, but
yeah,
that kind of turning anger at yourself isn't the answer either.
No.
Like, those people that instead of getting angry at others, they just blame themselves for everything.
Yeah, that's painful.
That's not much better.
No.
Better at all. It might not.
No, by turn inward, I didn't mean to blame myself.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
I know I'm totally right. I meant to like to turn inward and focus on my own anger and kind of recognize it and let it just let it be there. And okay, what does anger feel like? And then it's kind of like, because most often what we do is it's a discomfort, like you said, it's a physical discomfort as well. It feels shitty to feel fear or loss of control, or even the anger that comes after it. But the anger feels a little better than like the fear and uncertainty.
Yeah. Do you think anger often comes from fear and uncertainty?
It's not just that I think it. It's generally described as a secondary emotion. So like anger is a secondary emotion. The primary emotion that might lead to anger is fear, uncertainty, anxiety, things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So in general, your primary emotion here with your sister-in-law and the kids, it's fear.
Yeah, it's fear, anxiety. I'm worried about them. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't want anything to happen to other people. I don't want the pandemic to get worse because of people like them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to be those people.
So anger is almost like fear plus that feeling of lack of control.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's a, what do you call it when you're cooking? It's a, God damn it.
Mixture. It's a conglomeration, a mixing,
No.
a melting pot.
Yeah, no, it's a recipe. God damn it. It's a recipe.
Oh, that was great. What's the word? A melting pot? A recipe.
It's a recipe for anger. When you understand again how anger comes about, and like you said, when you can recognize it in yourself, where it comes from, what the primary emotion is,
Yeah.
and then also how you can healthily deal with it and channel it, talking to others, doing art or expressing yourself, taking time just in general, whether you're walking somewhere, driving,
Yeah.
and letting it before responding, basically, right?
So I also like, I have a chart for when there's kind of an overwhelming emotion, and like you can write out all the things. This is kind of a CBT DBT thing. So you kind of write out or think of what's the prompting event. So what are the facts? So the facts of this are, your brother is staying in the house with your father who's immunocompromised, right? Or
Yeah.
my sister-in-law is traveling with her young children, yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like the vulnerability factors. So like, are you the type of person who intellectualizes a lot? Are you going to overthink this? Are you judgmental? Me. Are you often anxious about uncertainty? I mean, I think that's all of us, or a lot of us, right? And then, what are your interpretations about the situation? What's your emotion? And then does the emotion fit the facts? So, I mean, I think in these cases, these are kind of special cases where, yeah, the emotion kind of does fit the facts. Or like when your girlfriend hits you and you almost died, like that emotion.
Yeah, like you're saying, I should be angry.
Yeah.
It's like, because there are times when you're angry and you totally shouldn't be, right?
But that was a protective anger. And then
yeah,
you were also clarifying that this isn't okay and you can't do this and we could have died. And if you do this, we could die. Like,
yeah,
that seems like very valid. But like, there's also something called the action urge. So that's what I wanted to get to, is the feeling that you need to do something. So an action urge that I had, that I kind of mentioned jokingly, calling in and saying, oh, there's totally a bomb on that plane. They can't.
Yeah.
That's a crazy action urge. It's an urge, but it's not one I should probably, act on.
It's fun.
Yeah.
No, as soon as you said that, it stirred my mind as well to think, did I have any of these action urges, basically? And yeah, when my brother, because I'm all the way over here in LA.
Yeah.
I feel so powerless. Like, what was going on at the time. I started thinking about what can I do from here?
Yeah.
Right. And some of those things were, I guess, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, okay, how can I get everybody else out of the house, or get him out of the house into a place by himself? Right. I was thinking like, can I get somebody to forcefully come?
Yeah.
Like pick my dad up and take him? Can I get everybody else to leave? What kind of crazy thing can I can't remember what I thought of specifically, but yeah, I definitely had that action urge.
For sure.
In my mind, I'm like, well, if it has a chance of saving his life, it might be
right.
It might be worth it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I even thought of threatening to do something on my end to get my dad to do.
Right. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
What if I go and, I know you don't like me spending money, Dad. What if I go and spend a ton of money if you...
That's hilarious that's the... Ooh, I'm spending like $5 on parking when there's free parking over there down the street.
Yeah. But seriously, my brain started thinking of all of, like you said, like, of
course, yeah.
You thought like calling in a bomb on the plane, even though...
I mean, that was the most extreme example.
Yeah.
But ultimately you have a choice, right? So you have the action urge, but then you kind of think, what are my values? What do I want to act on? And you always have a choice. So just because you feel the feelings and just because you have the urges to the action, you still have ultimately a choice. So, and it's okay to feel anger, but it's not okay to call in a bomb threat, right?
No,
generally.
it's not. Right.
Right?
That's right.
Is that
That's
not?
right.
Okay. Just checking.
Well, let's think of, no, it's not.
It's not? Okay. Well, listeners, you call in and let us know if you think that it's okay or not. No.
My brain went through a list. I was like, is there any time that would be okay? Not that I can think of.
I'm sure there's something, but
I guess if there's
we're
an
not gonna
actual
think
bomb threat.
if there's an actual bomb, then yeah, you should call in that there's a bomb. Oh my God. As long as you didn't put it there. Well, even if you put it there, you should probably tell someone, but no bombs. Bombs are bad.
So as you're a horrible therapist this episode, I'm not a good therapist, but
you're a good therapist, although you shouldn't share so much as a therapist.
I shared way too much. I'm not a therapist.
You're an oversharey therapist. It's okay. And you also don't really, where's the therapist voice? I actually didn't think we had done the therapy thing because
I don't care. I don't care about the.
You never spoke in a calming.
I find that to be so disingenuous.
You do? You don't like the therapist voice?
Yeah.
You don't think it's.
I kind of like it, but I also get angry at it at the same time.
Yeah, actually,
not angry like you get, but
I get irritated at it. As soon as someone comes in with their therapist voice, I'm like, but actually, sometimes they're still awesome. So give people a chance. They have to use that a little bit.
Well, as your non-therapist, Aya,
yeah,
I just want to, let's come back to this. So your sister-in-law, this whole issue that's been making you very angry. Where are you at with it right now?
Well,
just tell me, how do you feel right now about it?
Honestly, I actually feel like I got a lot off my chest here, and not just in the angry part, but in the working through the reasons for it. So actually, I didn't think I'd feel any better because I've already ranted about this. But at least for now, I feel tired of thinking about it. So
do you feel better knowing that you've probably done all that you can reasonably do?
I don't know that I have.
Short of calling in a bomb threat on a plane?
No, honestly, I think I actually haven't done all I can do yet. I was planning to just call and talk to my brother and see if I can at least tell him how I feel. I don't know that that'll do anything, probably not, but I think that's probably something I should do. I don't really want to because it's uncomfortable to tell someone. I don't like telling people.
You haven't talked to your brother about it yet?
No.
This whole time you haven't once called your brother, her husband, about this? No,
because my mom has already pointed out that they shouldn't be going. There's nothing. Do you think there's something I'm going to say as his little, I'm 10 years younger. You think there's something I'm going to say that's going to change their mind?
So you're saying there's nothing that you're going to say that's going to change their mind?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm going to try.
So that's something to understand.
Yeah, I don't know if it will do anything. I seriously doubt it.
Well, I've heard this. I'd be like you. I'd be as frustrated and angry. But once I've determined what I can't do, I start looking at, okay, what are the statistics here? What's going to happen to feel a little better? But then I could tell the other thing that makes you angry is they come back and they're fine, and then they think they were right. Yeah. I get that. But that aside, being right.
Also, I don't like confrontation.
You don't like confrontation.
I don't like telling people what to do. I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I feel so awkward about.
You already don't want to be a part of this. You have other
I don't
things
want
to worry about.
I just want them to not be stupid. Do I have to tell them to not be stupid?
So the thing you did, I think you've done that. The last thing I would do if you had a chance to talk to your brother and tell him how I know you'd want to get that off your chest.
Yeah.
But then you've done what you can do. Because
this is
after
really
that,
you being a therapist now. Yeah. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. You've heard this quote before, right? It's better sometimes to be kind than to be right. And that one I struggle with because I love being right. And I know you do too. I care a lot about being right.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
that's not the.
I really that's stuck in my head more recently, actually. And there have been times when I realize that I think I'm right, and what'll get me to calm down is to think, okay, what's the kind? I've already expressed myself. If I were them, and I also, wanted to defend my position and whatever, it's not right now. I'm not going to get anywhere. Being kind moving forward, they're more likely actually to listen to me. When my brother, when I reached out to him after we found out that he had COVID and my dad was in danger, my initial thought, of course, was there was obviously a little piece of me that wanted to be like, aha, what did I fucking say?
Yeah.
What did I fucking say? Right. But once I thought, that's not kind. It's not the
Yeah.
kind thing to do. And also, what is he must feel bad at this point,
Oh, of course.
right?
Yeah. No,
So,
I would never say
no,
that. That's not, yeah. My point is not to be right.
I got my point across in the best way of like, I'm sure you will do,
Yeah.
what is the best thing to do at this point. And I just want to let you know that I love you and I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah.
That I felt a certain, after that, at least, that like, it wouldn't have helped. It wouldn't have changed anything at that point. Once you know that you're not going to change anything by being angry or anything like that, I really think that then being kind can actually do some of the most,
Yeah.
because you've already actually expressed what you feel. If you express what you feel and then you're kind,
Yeah.
it might actually be more likely to.
No, I think that's a good point. And that was my plan, was if I talk to him, it has to be, first I have to be calm so that I can say things without being, because of course, the first thing that someone does if you're, attacking them is to go on the defensive, understandably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to wrap up, I guess.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. But I want to like solve all your problems and all your anger. But
yeah, I can see that you do.
Nothing just gets totally solved. But if you feel, yeah.
Honestly, I do feel better. I mean, part of this episode was me being like, I need to talk about this because I'm pissed.
I guess this is a pretty safe space for you to share, at least.
Apparently.
I mean, not in the sense that it won't be public, because it's absolutely going to be public.
That's the part that scares me. I don't care telling you. I care telling everybody. But
I think that's the difference between therapy and a podcast.
Oh, is it? There are actually some podcasts that are therapy that people post, but I don't think everyone knows what their names are.
You know how most therapy is like confidential and it's all just between you and me?
Oh, yeah. This isn't?
So when I tell you it's between you and me, Aya, that's a lie.
You fucking liar, man.
That's by default a lie.
You suck. No. Thanks for listening, Josh. I appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing, Aya.
Yeah, I figured you'd appreciate that I had a story of my own to tell this time. Kind of. It wasn't really a story.
I like it when you feel like you can share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would help if you talked less, but oh my God. I'm kidding. That was a joke for all our listeners, because Josh always talks about how much he talks too much and he's worried that he talks too much. So apparently my response to someone being insecure about something is to double down and attack them on it. Yeah, so thanks for being my friend, Josh, because yeah, okay. And what we talked about today, just to recap, talked about anger, I guess, obviously, and we talked about when is it helpful, when isn't it helpful. I think that's kind of a key takeaway, right?
Yeah,
sometimes it can be helpful and sometimes it's important to be angry, and I hope that if you see injustice that you too are angry about it.
But channel it correctly,
healthfully.
Like don't go punching your friends in the face when you're angry about Syria, for example.
That's right. Yeah, because that doesn't really, again, that's an unhelpful expression.
An unhelpful expression of anger. Yeah, you want to channel it correctly. Like maybe express yourself by starting a fundraiser or writing starting a podcast, or writing a poem, or acting, or all sorts of things that are helpful.
Yep.
Yeah, and also we talked about where anger comes from.
Yeah.
Where it stems from, like primary emotions, like fear. Yeah,
it comes from the primary emotions. That's right. And yeah, this has been another episode of Adulthood Friends. This was episode 17. Just for those of you who like to know.
You actually said that at the beginning.
Oh my God. You told me like 4 times to make sure I said the episode number. So I said it again. And now, Josh, make me so angry. No, you don't. And if you like us, please follow us on Facebook and listen and follow / subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, wherever you like to listen. And if you want to write like a little rating, I think rate review.
Oh, that helps.
That helps actually get more. Not that I don't know that we want more people listening to this. We're happy with those of you who are.
No, especially this
listening.
Episode. We want as many people.
We want many people to
hearing Aya's concerns and things she's angry about as possible, because we want you to diffuse your pain and anger amongst as many people as possible, so that you don't feel as much of it anymore.
Diffuse.
Diffuse. It's you can say it both ways,
I
can't
don't
you?
think so. I don't think so. I
Yeah,
think that's incorrect.
diffuse.
I actually don't know though. I'm gonna stop saying that I think I know. Yes, so I can diffuse or diffuse my anger. I appreciate that, Josh. Thank you. And yeah, just tell your friends, hey, listen to this podcast. And this girl goes on this angry diatribe. It's for some reason I find it interesting and I'd like to share it with you. Yeah, I can't think of anything else there. So how do we usually end this thing, Josh?
I don't know. I think usually like I'm just kind of talking and saying something, and then at some point the music just sort of.
It just what, Josh?
Oh no! Wait, you're editing this episode.
Yeah. What does it do,
No.
Josh?
Okay, if
What
you
does
want to
the
make this
music do?
episode extra long so that people don't want to click on it because it's so long, that's on you, Aya.
Is it? Well, you're the reason it's not ending.
Is it me? Why is it me?
Because you're in charge. You got to say the stuff to get the ending.
Say what stuff?
The magical words.
I said the magic words.
What are the magic words?
I'm not gonna say them again.
Sing us a little ditty and then I'll end it.
You know what would be a good little ditty?
What would it?
The